Hey folks, welcome back to Nomad Boatbuilding. I'm Mark Rudin and we are back building the Catalina Wherry, and this week we are going to start working on cap rails. Now cap rails are a bit of finishing trim that you would put on top of the gunnels of your boat. They're there to take a beating really. They're there for protection of the hull itself, of the shear line itself. And you would see these quite often in small heavy work boats where you'd be, say, dragging nets over the side of the boat or lobster pots or that sort of thing. Now, of course, this is a recreational boat. Doesn't necessarily going to take the abuse that work boats would. For us, they can add a certain aesthetic quality that is hard to get otherwise. We'll talk about that in the video. All right, I'll see you on the other end. Let's get cracking. I was all prepared to go ahead and put my little molding detail on the edge of the rub rails here, and I thought I should take a pause for a sec. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to put a 1/4 inch round over on here. I like a larger round over normally, but because we're going to put the cap on here, I need to make sure I preserve as much space as possible for that, because it's not only the cap, but then the oarlock pads that have to go on top of that cap. And so I think I want that little bit of a round over here, and then the cap sits on top of that, and then we'll marry the oarlocks into the top of that cap somehow. There's limited real estate here. We want to put caps on, and then we also want to put oarlocks on top of those caps. So I thought it'd be a good idea to just sort of get that going in my head. I'm thinking to keep those caps as wide as possible, I'll probably run them flush on the inside, but then I'll give them a little reveal on the outside, because we don't want to lose that sort of sense of shear line, and having this thing suddenly bump up on the shear might look okay, but it will look better if there's just something else that picks off that original shear line. I'm thinking I'll just do a little round over here, just a small 1/4 inch one, and the cap will sit just inside that, but it can come flush to the inside. And what that also does is that centers up my holes here, because this is already a little wider than the inwale. So it just helps to sort of bump the centering of the oarlocks towards this gap, which I think is probably a good idea. I thought I would just start with throwing in a fake cap here, just making a pattern for this cap rail. And I think I'll just bring it right forward to this frame here. Just going to eyeball putting it about there. This is where I want to clamp on hand. And then over here, this is my theoretical oar position. I want enough room for the oarlock pad to be on there and still have a little extra just for looks. So I think we'll come right back to this sort of bit of blocking in here. So we'll start it around there. Another clamp on there. Okay. Just going to give myself sort of a registration mark where it crosses, just for reference. And then the outside, and then I lose it. I lose the shape here. My door skin is not quite wide enough, but I'm planning to make it narrower anyway, right? Okay, and I'll just mark forward so we don't lose it. It's easy to flip it around the backwards by accident. Okay, good. We'll chop that out and lay it up on the boat and just have a gander. All right. We're doing sort of a 1/2 inch thick cap rail. all the way along here. I mean, it offers a few different things. It offers sort of an area that can take more beating. You can round it off more if we want. It's something the oars can lie on. It's something Joe can screw stuff to if he wants. He was talking about some standing oarlocks or something like that, maybe. Lower oarlock pads. So instead of having ones that are like a full inch and a half high, we can do like this. This pad is half an inch, and then we can just do like a 1 inch oarlock pad. So it could be, come on. So it can look long and lean instead of big and chunky. So I've got our cap rails mocked up. I put some blocks of plywood underneath there to mimic the height. Made some real quick and dirty oarlock pads. These are just like, really scrappy. Just bits of 2x or 1x pine. And we just add whatever we need to it to make it sort of seem like the real thing. So I've just kind of glued a little piece of material on there to shim it up a bit higher. That's really just for visualization more than anything else, but it's also to sort of deal with heights. What's that give us? 6 inches there. Yep. Which is 7.5 here. Yep. That'll work. You need at least 6 inches of distance between here and here, sort of a bare minimum. But in some cases you can get away with, some people like it higher. Joe likes it a bit higher. We talked about breaking down these oarlock pads into smaller pads and not having this long rail, but Joe's talking about being able to sort of put a standing oarlock in place, or having someplace he could use if he wanted to row facing forward. He could have a second set of oarlocks. So we'll see about that. And what I'll probably do is when we make up our oarlocks, I might just make him up an extra pair, just throw them in there, and he can position them as he wants them later on if he needs to do that. So with that in mind, I think we'll probably bring this whole oarlock pad further forward a little ways. I've got this plank of oak here. So it's 6.5 inches wide and 8 feet long. But when I play around with putting the pattern on here, it'll squeeze on, but I get all this short grain running through here. I never like that. That always bothers me, seeing that on a boat. I'd rather see the grain running straighter through the stock. So what I think we'll do is put a big scarf joint in here, and we'll just break it into smaller pieces. And we'll screw it down to the middle. I think that'll look fine. So that's my plan. I've marked out the scarf joint here. It's like 12 inches long. It's not really for strength, really. It's just to sort of allow that grain to run straighter, look a little nicer. And we're going to be splitting these guys in two and running them through the thickness planer. And so we'll probably have to use a little bit of steam to get them in place on the boat, so we'll be doing that as well. Okay, I've got some sapwood here to avoid. I will stay back a few inches from the end of the plank as well. So many ways to do this. One thing I want to do is have the grain directionally continuous from one to the next, because that's just going to make shaping a lot easier. Now we need to cut these a little oversized and actually reshape them on the boat. And that's partially just because there's slight differences from one side to the next. Sharpen up that scarf line a little. Okay. So we'll whack this off with the saw, do a rip on the bandsaw, and then we'll split it, thickness it. Actually, I might even leave this, I think I might even just run it rough and long, split them, thickness them, and then redo the patterns, because that way I can get rid of the snipe. Yeah, I think that's not a terrible idea. Okay. So can finish marking off these scarf joints. Is that that one? I guess. Yeah, had to be. Something I didn't like about the way that sat. Yeah. Those can get trimmed off, and then these get trimmed off, and then you can fit the scarves. I want to thank all my subscribers for their ongoing support, their comments, their shares, and good wishes. And I also want to thank all of my followers on Patreon whose monthly pledges support this channel. If you can help us on Patreon, I would really appreciate it. There are links in the corner or down in the description. Okay. Find me a middle. goes about there. Nice. No steam required. That's awesome. Okay. Lovely. You know what's kind of interesting? It just occurs to me, because this boat's got a lot of shear on it, that adding that little bit amidship is actually going to sort of break up that sense of a really big long shear a little bit. I don't mind that. Okay, that looks good. And what did I do with our mock-up oarlock pads? Let's toss those on just for fun. All right, so those will go, one of them's going to go there. And then the other one, I figured out if I fudge it a little between perfect for that one and perfect for the center thwart. So with the oarlock pads, just sort of these little mock-up ones stuck on here. So I'd figured out that if I split the difference between perfect for this thwart and perfect for the center thwart, there's only like a 2-inch range between the two. So if I fudge it, I can actually get this one in just the perfect spot for Joe to be able to row facing forward if he feels like it. Or even row in reverse if he feels like it, for that matter. Just kind of a weird thing to do, but people do it. All right, oh, this is good. This is good. So tomorrow, the day's done. Tomorrow I'll doctor up these scarves, get those fitting. They're not too bad already. I mean, they're rough, but they're not like crazy off. And then I'll play around with tweaking the shape here. I think what I might do is just shift it forward, scribe a line underneath following the shear line, clean that up, but then we'll shift it back to overcome the roundover we'll put on here. And then I can use like a flush trim router bit to buzz off the inside. And that way it'll just be tight to the inwale on the inside and just proud on the outside. I kind of like that detail. I think that's kind of cool. Okay. So that's good. That's good. Productive day. That feels excellent. All right. Signing off. See you tomorrow. All right, folks, we'll pick up where we left off in the next video. So for now, I hope you enjoyed it. Please join me again next time. And if you'd like to support these videos, I encourage you to join me on Patreon. You can find links in the corner or down in the description. Catch you later, folks.